Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Chamber of the Wraith. My name is Brian, and tonight we're going to bring the hammer down, because tonight we are talking Shao Kahn, the ruler of Outworld, and one of three casualties of the horrific retcons that Mortal Kombat 11 has possessed. I mean, for crying out loud. First, we see that Cabal is now Black Dragon again, which he was Black Dragon at least, so one could rationalize, oh, okay, we can basically have him be like super young Cabal, although they never explained how he got his super speed. And we're just jumping right into competitive variations, so just give me a minute. And then we have and then of course we also have did I ever do Katana? And then we have Sindel. We know what happened to Sindel. It was not pretty. And finally, we have the man of the hour, Shao Kahn. And the reason why I say Shao Kahn is the man of the hour is because alright, look. If your boy was Shao Kahn, and I can't blame you, Shao Kahn's pretty friggin' badass. But if your boy was Shao Kahn, you have to wonder what the hell they did to his character. I mean, in the olden days, in ye olde Mortal Kombat days, he was a cunning, ruthless warlord. The kind of guy who thinks ahead and whole realms would have trouble going up against. Doesn't have any feelings of any sort anywhere. And then you compare that to the Shao Kahn we got. A big, macho stereotype with a lecherous streak a mile wide. This version of Shao Kahn is not the same version of Shao Kahn. They made him more of a sex pest, and that is just why. You don't have to be like that in order to be a good bad guy. Anyways, enough of that ranting. Enough of those ranting shenanigans. Let's focus on let us focus on moves. Let us focus on moves, and that includes towards throw, and then we'll talk about the rest. So first up, we've got Dragon Fist. A 7-frame down 1. Deceptively fast for Shao Kahn. But it's not... Hopefully I didn't put it on flawless. I did not. It's -4 on block. Stop flawless blocking. This is like... There we go. Anyways, it's -4 is the point. You're not getting your turn back per se, but it's Shao Kahn's fastest button easily. Then we have Tenderizer, which is a 13-frame mid with really good range that can start and extend combos. And that, of course, dropped it, but you get the idea. Then we have Rising Wrath. Another really good 9-frame uppercut. This is a Jade-level uppercut, allowing you to get crazy combos, as per usual if it crushing blows. But it's a really good uppercut, easily one of the best in the game. Then there's Brutal Kick, which is a 13-frame high and is -1. Also, uppercut is -23 on block, and if the opponent normal blocks it, it's -13 with all that pushback. Then we have Dragon Toe. This used to just send the foe flying back for, I think, 50 damage, so it was just a simple ender. But now, you can use it to extend combos, especially in the corner. We do this. Oh yeah, I know what I can do with this. Okay, that didn't work. But you can see the concept there, especially in the corner with this thing. It extends combos for days. It's really good now. Then we have Knee Shatter, which is a 9-frame down 1 with really good range. About the same range as his down 1. And on block, it is -5. So, not punishable, but not safe either. Then we have Hammer Slammer, which is an advancing sweep at 13 frames and knocks the opponent down for 28 frames. So Shao Kahn basically has built-in Oki if he catches you even from maximum range, which is start of the round. Now he's in your face. Not something you want to have happen to you. However, on block, it's -2, and on flawless block, it's -7. So punishable if you have a 7-frame button, which Shao Kahn has down 1 that can do that, but he doesn't actually have a combo starter that is slower than 9 frames. Then we have Kahn Kick, which is a 28-frame mid that knocks down. On flawless block, it's +6, so it's just +6 overall, and this is pretty well plus, and it knocks down for 41 frames, so you can get decent Oki out of this, but not the best button in the world. You can use this to end combos, of course. Let's see. This is an example. There it is. Use it to end a combo if you'd like. And then there's Side Spike, which is a 10-frame down 4 with really good range. Do this, and then it's -8 on block, which means that it can be punished by anything that has 8 frames, especially if the opponent is in the corner. Though with that range, I don't think there's a lot of 8-frame buttons that reach that far. And then, for the end of part 1 of normals, we need to talk about his toward throw, which has a crushing blow. That was his forward throw. Or that was his back throw. Here we go. This thing will crushing blow if it's a reverse, if it is a reversal punish or a get up punish. So if you wake up throw and this punishes, you get what's basically a stronger version of the uppercut crushing blow. Considerably stronger. So this is a little bit trickier to get than the uppercut, but this gives you a second opportunity to rock some serious damage, which is what Kotal is really good at. I mean, Shao, sorry, wrong Kahn. Then we'll have to talk about wake-up attacks, hop attacks, jump attacks, and I think that's it before we have to get into combo strings. So I'm going to get right into knock down and then do that. You know, the usual stuff. Go, and then I think that's it. Yeah, we'll start with Deadly Swipe. One of the best down or wake up invincible attacks in the game. Really good range, and in fact, I'm willing to bet that I can even get away with just doing normal speed. And then do that. Yeah, it hits really well. But on block, it's -8. It might be -7 depending on the range, because it's kind of range dependent, but overall, this is one of the best invincible wake-ups in the game. Then we have Fatal Warning, which has similar range and launches the opponent, but is better if the opponent is closer, because then you can get combos off of that. However, on block, it is a -20, so it is extremely punishable. And on flawless block, Deadly Swipe is -13. Then we have Breaking Dragon Claw, which is short hop attack. It's an 8-frame short hop attack with pretty good range. Then we have Quick Slam, which is 13 frames, but I have no doubt has more range. So it hits from about there, and then the kick hits from about there. So it hits from a little further back. But if the opponent blocks a short hop attack, the hammer is -18, and the kick is -19. So flawless block. Yeah, it's -14 on flawless block. There we go. And then -23 for the hammer on flawless block. Then we have his jumping attacks. Hammer Poke, Final Strike, and Double Dragon Kick. Nothing to write home about, but the Final Strike is much better for starting combos. So we just do that, and you can see you can get combos for days with this. Stibbity, stibbity, stabbity. Urgh. Now, speaking of stibbity, stibbity, stabbity, that is the first combo string that we have to talk about. Among quite a few, actually. we have 8 strings to talk about, starting with Die, which is this big ending string. The spear bit on its own does about the same damage as a normal throw, so you can get an idea for the kind of damage that you can expect. This has a crushing blow if 3 merciless spears have been landed during the match. I don't recall off the top of my head if Merciless Spear counts reset between rounds anymore, but it used to. But once you have that fully charged, you get really good damage off that. So if we do, say, this combo starter, and then end it with this crushing blow, that's 50% in 2 crushing blows and 4 button presses. It's really good. Then we have Merging Realms. Just remember, both of these buttons come off of a 9-frame high. And then a 13-frame mid, and then you stat. But on block, there's a flawless block gap that leaves Shao Kahn at -5 and punishable. So be extremely careful with Die. If the opponent blocks, go for Merging Realms instead, because it knocks down is 13 frames, and I believe is safer. And if there's an overhead in the middle. But there's a flawless block string that leaves Shao Kahn at -9. So certain wake-ups will be able to catch him out of this. But not a lot can. So he isn't safe. He is less safe, but he has more distance. So very few things are going to be able to punish him. Then we have Is That Your Best?, which knocks the opponent down and has a cheeky low in the middle. However, it's -6 on block, and I don't believe has a flawless block gap in it. Yeah, it doesn't seem like there is. But what this is really good for is that you convert this into buttons, so come on, why are you not letting this happen? And then you can continue for combos. Then you have Die by My Hands, which is very similar, but features a mid in the middle instead, which seems to do more damage and has much more range. But I think it scales a little harsher. Yeah, because this one will be 63, and then that is 56. So this scales harsher, but if you go... There you go, easy 35% as an example. Then you have Bow to Me. Oh, before I forget, Is That Your Best? Is -6, and Die by My Hands has a flawless block gap that leaves Shao Kahn at -7, and is just -7 overall. So very punishable, and look at how close you are at Shao Kahn. Punishable for days. Then we have Bow to Me, which comes off of a 21 frame high. This thing should be a mid, in my opinion, at this speed. Especially with how slow the whole string is, and it's -15. It's negative on block by a lot. But at least, if you get this, maybe if you like space it out properly, you can get a combo. For a little bit less damage, but I mean, still damage. Then we have Fear Me, which has an overhead in the middle that is +2 and doesn't have a flawless block string. Oh, actually it does, and then it leaves Shao Kahn at -8. So, if you get blocked... Oh, I'm pressing the wrong button. Let's see, you can be -6, or you can try and fake the opponent out with an overhead. As far as I know, Shao Kahn doesn't have a low special move in tournament variations, although I could be wrong, so this might not be a mix-up. Then there's Last Breath. This bad boy was one of those strings that got buffed, although there's a flawless block gap in the middle. The The third hit is now a throw instead of a mid. Does 130 damage, and most importantly, can be special canceled. That's right. This string, until Aftermath, could not be special canceled, which means that you would basically just do this for shimmies or try and fish out this attack. It was awful, and now it's actually one of Shao Kahn's best strings. Then there's Conquer All, which does pretty decent damage, but you're not really going to see it unless it's closing out a round. On block, Conquer All has a flawless block gap, and it's -6 regardless, or +6, sorry. Last Breath, as I said, has a flawless block gap, but if it isn't flawless block, you can go for the grab, which is unblockable. But it's a high, meaning that the opponent just neutral ducks it, they can punish you. Now let's talk universal special moves. By the way, Last Breath does have a Crushing Blow, but it's connected to a special move that is tournament exclusive. So we'll have to talk about that later. And if I just do this... Oh, it's actually in this variation. Great! So we'll talk about that when we get there. But for now, we need to talk about what he has. First up is his Universal Projectile, Merciless Spear. While this is classed as a mid, that's only because of its downward trajectory. Shao Kahn can straight up miss at point-blank range on most characters. See that? And at relatively close range, most opponents can just neutral duck this thing. But it's a fairly decent projectile, allows for trades. Shao is +31, so in most situations you land this thing, you move in, try and get a 4-2 out of it, no big deal. And of course it's connected to Dai's Crushing Blow, because you need to land 3 of these things. Then we have Scum Grab, which is an anti-air grab and one of 3 armor-breaking attacks that Shao Kahn has. Yes, not only does Shao Kahn have an armor break in every variation, but he has 3 of them. He has the most armor breaks in the game, and that is his niche. When he breaks armor, you are going to get hurt. And in fact, he always has 2 armor breaks. He always has at least 1 armor break, and in most variations, he actually has 2. If you launch the opponent, let's say, off of a forward grab, and then anticipate the breakaway and go for Scum Grab, no. And you get really good damage out of that. Remember, that was 374 on Amplify versus 319. And even if you don't amplify Scum Grab, this will do more damage. 330. So this is a really good armor break for catching general juggles. So if we do this, and they try and break away, make them pay. Then we have Shoulder Charger, which has its armor break on the downstroke. So what I mean by that is that there's 2 ways to amplify Shoulder Charger. Normal Amplify, which you've seen, is a normal launcher but doesn't armor break. But normally, the downward Amplify just knocks down. But on armor break, you get a combo starter. So if we do something like that, you can see the opponent almost lost half of their life trying to break away from what they would have expected to be this, which on that breakaway would have been smart, but there's a mind game there. Then we have to talk about Hammer Lunge, which does not have an armor break, so I need to turn that off for now. It's just a big leaping overhead. You can clear many low projectiles with this thing. And then on Amplify, you get this. A Spear Render, which does pretty respectable damage. And of course, there's different ranges. You have close, you have mid, and you have far. And the Amplify comes out on block or on whiff. So you can actually fix somebody out with this by going for a mid full screen. They think they're safe, and you can potentially even touch them with that if they move in, thinking that they are safe, but they're not. Of course, on block, it's worth noting, normal shoulder charger is minus 20 and cannot be amplified. Hammer lunge is minus 7 on flawless block. And it's just minus 7 overall. But the amplify doesn't seem to have a flawless block gap, but is minus 19. So it's actually, so if the opponent blocks this, it's better to just go for the normal hammer lunge and save your meter, because you'll be plus, or you'll be minus 7. They might punish if they have a 7 frame, but if you're against a Shao Kahn, the most they might get is a down 1. Now let's talk variation exclusive moves, because that is where things get really fun. First up, Wrath Hammer. This is a mid projectile that is a true mid. And it has a crushing blow where if the hammer hits twice in a row, you get a crushing blow out of the deal. So this helps complement Shao in the zoning department, because he can throw the hammer, maybe go for a spear if he's feeling risky for more damage, that kind of thing. Then we have Ground Shatter, which is a low, which can be flawless blocked, but it's a double low. Despite how it looks, it's a double low. And what's really fun about this attack is that on normally it's minus 18, but you can use this as mix in certain situations, because let's say, I don't know, the opponent is blocking and is expecting this to be the overhead. Well, you can do this instead and knock them back and restand them, most importantly. This allows Shao Kahn to be plus 7. Not the most amount of plus frames, but if you have to watch out for a really far-reaching forward 2 or back 3 that can launch, especially in the corner, this can be scary. And of course, there's this string, which can now end low, instead of having to commit to either the full string or the overhead. And finally, we have moves that are great in concept but weak in execution, and they were even sped up. I think they lost 20 of their startup frames, and they're still really bad. The taunts, Humiliate, and Ridicule, both of which have 95 frames of startup. It's ridiculous how long it takes for this thing to get going. So what do? Humiliate buffs Shao Kahn's damage by a full 50%. I think it's supposed to be 50%. 140, 50% to 210. Did they nerf it to 33%? I think they did. Let's see. Because this would be... Yeah, they absolutely nerfed it to 25%. And then the opponent deals less damage as well. If I had Raiden do this string, which does 140, and I have it on auto for some reason. You suck. Now they're doing half damage. That's weird. Okay, so they do half damage. I do 25% more damage, I want to say, which is a little bit odd, but it makes sense considering that, you know, 50% more damage on Shao Kahn would be ridiculous, because that is where that crushing blow comes in. If the opponent is under the effects of either Humiliate or Ridicule, crushing blow. That's where that crushing blow comes from. So that means the 4-3-4 grab crushing blow, exclusive to Variation 1, the True Kahn. Now let's talk about Variation 2, Risen Emperor. This one features another buff, but it's connected directly to another special move, so it's not quite so bad. The Dark Priest. This buffs all hammer-based attacks by 10%. but it's all hammer-based attacks for a considerable period of time. Which means even a 10% buff like this will extend to incredible damage. However, like the Ridicule and Humiliate buffs, this thing goes away on block, on any cinematic event. Then we have Up Wrath Hammer, which is a good baiting tool. So what you would do is that on a knockdown, you go for the hammer. On knockdown, you go for the hammer, and then you clobber them as they wake up for a wake-up launcher or something. Or they have to block, and that makes them panic, which means you can go for a throw. This is a really good setup tool for Shao Kahn. And finally, we have Annihilation, Shao Kahn's go-to combo ender, which does what in this variation? 120 damage, but on Amplified does 170. And if the Dark Priest is up, you actually get a crushing blow off of Annihilation, as long as the Dark Priest buff is active. So, you can do a combo like this. Excuse me. Do this, combo them, and then go for whatever you want. That was supposed to be Scum Grab, but it turned into down 1. But you can see where that could be devastating, because you're getting a combo going, the opponent burnt their meter. And look at that, they ate almost 45% of their health, no problem. And I'm not even that good of a Shao Kahn player, so you can imagine what a real good Shao Kahn player would be capable of with this thing. Now let's finally talk about Variation 3, Realm Destroyer, which was one of the variations I actually called back when they first announced third variations. It's the Spear variation, and the only one where Shao Kahn only has one armor break, and that's Skewered. And when this thing breaks armor, you get, I think I forgot to talk about block data too in the last video. We'll cover that real quick. You get damage, sure, but you also get, on Amplify, universally, you get a combo extender. Which means damage for days. I've seen Shao Kahn's in this variation get upwards of 60% under the right conditions. And I have actually gotten it before in a Fatal Blow combo. You see it a lot in my Fatal Blow compilations. But, let me just make sure. Auto, random. You can definitely get the damage. And then you have Seeking Wrath Hammer, which is a slower projectile, but it's a unique projectile in that it kind of acts like Dark Side. It fires behind, and it brings the opponent to you. It's a projectile that, over time, brings the opponent close enough for you to get whatever you want. And then there's Spear Charge, which replaces his shoulder charge and thus does not give him the armor break. This thing can amplify even on whiff, which I don't understand. But if you get this amplify, you get a combo extender. Which can allow for really nice combos. For instance, let's do this. And that was the wrong hammer slammer button. Look at that, almost 50%, no with one crushing blow. I almost had no crushing blows, but I forgot I did it off of a throw. Still, really good damage. And very quickly, we're just going to go back because I forgot to talk about Annihilation's block data. I think it's the only attack that has block data? No, of course it's not. I forgot about the Wrath Hammer too. So, first off, Annihilation is minus 20 on Flawless block. And it's just minus 20 overall. So if a Shao Kahn's over eager and goes for this, free punish, go for it. And then the Wrath Hammers have a flawless block gap if you block the first one, but Shao Kahn is still safe regardless. He's minus 1, even though that leaves me to wonder, actually, is that an interruptible gap? Let's see. Let's see it. Yes, it is. So you can interrupt it, at least as long as it goes far. Let's see if it works on close. You can't interrupt this thing, but you better be ready to trade with an uppercut, because that's the only way that trade is going to be favorable. Unless you have a really fast teleport, maybe? Let's see. Yeah, sweep's not going to cut it. That's not going to work. It really depends on the opponent, but if you have a 7-frame jab, you can, or even 11 frames, you can absolutely do this. But I recommend, if you see them going for this, mash uppercut. It's your best trade option, because they can always just hold back in order to stay safe. Now, if we go back to Realm Destroyer, we'll be able to talk about that block data as well. The spear is minus 17 on flawless block, the spear charge. It's just minus 17 overall. And remember, you can amplify it, so you can waste a bar of meter and get full combo punished. The spear grab is unblockable, but it's an anti-air, so you'll never land this on the ground. And Seeking Wrath Hammer is minus 1, even at point blank range. But the opponent will be able to block it, so be wary. Now, finally, we get to talk about Shao Kahn's Fatal Blow to round out the episode. I just have to turn this off. Should have gone the other way, but what have you. And that is... You suck. This is a very slow Fatal Blow at 25 frames, but it's a very good anti-air. You land this thing... I say a very good anti-air as I miss it from an uppercut. My bad. But... this is one of the better Fatal Blows if they're jumping in, or if you have a particularly good launch. Does really good damage, looks really sweet, and can be used to end combos. So, don't forget to be awesome. I'll see you guys on the other side, and check out this Realm Destroyer combo.